Hello folks, here welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to help you how to use variants on commerce.js application. I created this application earlier and I got more than a question from followers. They would like to know how to add variants on commerce.js application. And so for example, if I scroll here just quickly, I created this category for clothes and I added all of this t-shirt here. For example, if I navigate to this page, so this is where I can view a single product. And as you see here now, we have this select different colors. So from here, you can select different color for your product. This you can add it as a variant group. And for example, if I selected this, automatically will change this to the selected one, and also will change here the price. For example, the default one, if you see here is £10. When I select different ones, then it will show relevant price. And also if I selected the yellow one, and which is 15, and this one is £9. And also, for example, I can add a quantity. For example, this one quantity, if I increase this by 2 and then add to basket, and as you see here is added to the basket and the notification updated. If I navigate here, see the total is 18 and the single one with £9. If I check out, and here it will just load the data and showing the details. I can just add a quick details here. Shipping cost is 0 because for local country. And also here next it will showing you the details of the product. The total price is £18 and the shipping cost is 0. And if you can go next, and here where we can just add our payment details, is just for testing. And if I just press pay, and it will take me to this screen where it says thank you by your name, and then you can hit continue shopping. As you see that empties the basket, and now I can continue and proceed. So basically this is how simple you can add a variant to commerce.js application, and this has more than a step to follow. And before I actually go further, so if you are new to my channel, try subscribe and enable the bell to get all new videos and tutorials. And if you like the content, also try to press thumb up and leave your comment about the tutorial and let me about your opinion, and if you have any suggestion, any idea, and that always will keep me going on and adding more tutorials. And so before go to start building this, so as I mentioned, I created this project earlier. It's already available. I'm gonna just to change the branch to different branch and start building this feature. For example, if I go just to my, currently I'm running this in localhost locally. So now if I go to the terminal here, and just let me stop it and change the branch, check out. There is some changes. Let me just discard this change here. And if I try to change again, now I change it, I need to run the application again, npm start. And this will take me where it was previously, and from there then we can start to build our application with using variants feature. So the page is loaded, and now still nothing here is changed, because here let's just try to view this single one, and now it will show us the previous layout. So even this page was broken, and I updated the style to just make it tidy enough and also look better. For example, if I select different products, this one, it will show it proper, because previously the image wasn't handled properly for sizing. And but as you see that now we don't see any variant here, and also the style is broken, and we need to fix this style before go to next step to actually showing you how to add a variant. Let's just do that quickly. If I come back again here to the VS Code where I have the project, I need to navigate to components directly here, and then for component I need to select this product view. This is a page where we showing this single product view, this page here. What I'm going to do, previously I was using this style CSS here, this file. I'm going to ignore this. I'm not going to use it here. I'm going to use a style component for this, and also I'm going to delete this style CSS style file. And in this line also I'm going to avoid using this grid for material UI. I'm going to just use a style component and build my own grid layout for this page. And I'm going just to bring a code to speed up this tutorial. So here at the top I'm going to add some styling here, so I'm going to just replace this with this list of code here, and I'm going to explain this actually line by line. And at the top I imported this style component. We need to install this component. We don't have it. Let's just install it, and here just do npm install -d to install it as a div dependency, and then hit enter. And while this is installing, let's just go just showing what I did here. So I created a wrapper with some styling here, and also image wrapper. I added directly styling without even using that style file, style.css. So just this will update the layout and will ignore the style.css we were using previously. And also I need to change this here. As I mentioned, I'm going to avoid this using this grid. I'm going also to bring some modification to this, and I'm going to explain it also. So here from this container until the end here, I'm going just to replace it with this, and I'm going to, as I mentioned, to explain this, I can showing you the difference I just did. So basically this is a new variable I imported at the top here for styling, and at the bottom here what I have done, basically I just removed this class, and I removed also this toGrid. As you see, I just removed that, and I added a new component name, and this component at the top here, which is just using a styled for adding a CSS, which will be style.div and wrapper, and adding some directly styling. And the same for image wrapper, and also I ignored this to also this grid here, and I added just a div. And same as here, additional div, and with these action also is just a component at the top. And if I just scroll at the top here and showing you the action here, which is style.div, and adding some CSS, and this is just about styling and makes the component look nicer and tidy and look good, and just for before adding the variant, and just to improve the ground. And that is basically. And also I removed this class, and I removed this grid. So basically just styling that. This is just styling. And if I run the application again, let me go to the here, and now that is running. If I go back, let me load it, and as you see, this just is a browser issue. Now that is fixed. As you see, the style now is look much better. So next step, we need to go and add that variants. So how we can add the variants? Before actually showing that here, I need to explain this first on the commerce.js dashboard. First, if you go to your commerce or commerce.js dashboard for your project, for example, this is mine, and you need to come to here where is products, select this one, and it will show your list of products. So let me come back, products. For example, this is a t-shirt that just we added. So you can add a normal product, as I explained on previous tutorial how to add a product. If you didn't watch that, I will advise go first to watch how to add a product. After adding a product, here on this section where it's saying variants, you need to add at the beginning. There is no edit, but there is add button. You need to press on that add button, but for now we are going to press this edit, which should be similar, and it will take you to this screen where it will give you here the group. You will add your group name, for example, colors, size, whatever. You can add more than group, but on this tutorial I'm going to show you how to add only one group, and this scenario will be colors. And then you can add here a list of your colors list that you need to add. For example, we added here orange, purple, yellow, and brown. And then you can hit this here, this three dot. We're showing you this two option here. Press advanced. On this advanced, for example, it will ask you if you need to add specific images for this variant. For example, for orange, I need to add an image. So I added this image, and also the price. Would you like to use the default one, or you need to modify that one? So what default, what does it mean default? Basically that's the default price. If I just close this tab here, and let me close this one again. At the top here, this is the default price, and it's required. You need to add this your default price for your product. After adding that, let's come again to add your variants, and press here, and just take you to this screen. After adding your variant group name and also your options, and if you need to add a picture for your options and adding different price, also you can press this three dot and take you to advanced. And from here, if you don't need to change the price, it should be the same as the default one. You don't need to add anything. And you need to add your relevant picture for that variance. And same here, this is for the second variant, which as you see here, the option is called option is purple, and the default price is £2. So it's not £2. So basically how this will work, basically it will use the default price, and then it will add this new price to it. It will add this option price to the default price. For example, the default price is £10, and this product is going to be with the purple color is going to be £12. That's why I'm adding here £2. And same here for this yellow, I'm adding £5 because this yellow t-shirt is going to be £15. The default is 10, and this is going to be 5 additional to that will be £15. And same for here. So basically this is going to be 9 because the default one is 10. I'm going to add -1, which will return 9 later. And as I showed this on the introduction, but I didn't know if you noticed that or not, but we are going to see on actual result on just on coming minutes. And after you finish, you need to press this save. And after pressing this save, just close it from here, and you can close this from this cross. And again, you need to save it from here, save changes. And after saving changes, you need to close it. And now you added your variants. And also this variants can be done only after adding your product. First step, you need to add the products without variants and save it. After saving it, then try again to come later and add the variants. But because if you're creating a new product, it will not allow you at the initial point to add these variants. This as a reminder. Okay, so now we added our variants from commerce.js dashboard, and now we need to go back to our project where we're showing it here, and we need to find out how this look like and what we added also to our code. And before go to next step, and let me update here. So let me come to the component, which is product view index. At the top here, just I'm going to add a quick update. Let me console log first. I'm going to console log this response, and I'm going to showing you some stuff here I'm going to modify. And if I save it and come back here and open the console log and open this object here. So currently, if I go back to this product here, how I'm setting the initial product and accessing the source or the image source, I'm using this media.source. So I'm going to modify this media, and instead of media.source, I'm going to use image.url, which will be more relevant URL when we come to use the variants. So just that, the update, quick update, I'm going to update to here. It's going to be image.url, and I'm going to switch this media by image. Until now, if I save, nothing will change, it still will be work fine as I mentioned. And also I need to add this asset. As you see, we have assets this here. This is a list of image that relevant to this product we are going to use later, and I need to add it here to the product. It will be called assets. Let me, before go to next step, actually let me go to, we need to find out where to check is to see is this product actually has a variance or not. You can see it as a part of the product response here. We can check here at the bottom. As you see, we have variance, and variance has this first group has only one group at the moment because we're adding only one variance group, which will be the name, it will be color, and the options. This is the list of the options that related to this variant, which has 4 options, and each option will have a relevant image asset ID. So we can use this ID by filtering the relevant image from this list of assets here. I just showing you this here, which we just added here. We added to the product, and we are going to use each variance option asset ID to filter a correct image from these assets here, because as you see, if you open these assets, each asset has an ID, and this ID here will be already is available here too, and when we're filtering with an ID, then we return this object. From this object we can access this URL. And what's next? Also, we need to update, and as you see here, the price. Also, we are going to update the price. So this is the first product because it's using the initial, so that's why it's 00. If you go to next one, as you see is £2, and we are going to use this 2 and do some calculation to update the price depending on the default price and also on the variant option price. And same, if you open the next one, we have this £5, and we are going to update this here. So, and as you see here on the original price, we have, if we open price here, this one, we have this row, and row it will just show us the number of the price without using any currency. And also we have the current that when we are using this formatted with the simple. I'm going to change it formatted with the code. As you see here, this showing this bound simple. I'm going to use this just GBP for just help us to modify this later. I'm going to change this one to use this code instead, and as you see, this will be changed in a few seconds. As you see, that's changed. And I'm going to create an state to store this original price or the default price for this product, and later we can add a function as a calculator to calculate the total price for different variant options. So there is a function for this. I'm going to import. Before that, I'm going to add the state. So if I come to here and just after this line, let me add a new state. So this state will be called original price, and the original price by default will be 0, but we can set it when we call this function here, and then will be price dot row, and this is the original price. We can use it later to calculate the final price. And now also we need to add variants, as we see that here on the API response. Where is that? Yeah, this here, this key. We need to add this to the product. At the moment we don't add that, we don't add this one here. As you see, we don't have variants here. We need to just add it here, destructure it, and then add it here before or after this quantity. And now we have variants, and let me just remove or disable or comment out this console log. And now we have variants. What we need to do here inside this image wrapper section, you need to add a new line, and I'm going to add this code, and I'm going to explain it also. So here in this space, let me add more space to make it more readable. So let me first comment out this line here, and first one here, I'm checking the product, is it has variance and also has length. For example, this to check just a product has a variance. If it has a variance, I'm going to add this title here, say select different colors, just to show for a customer to select different colors, and just that simple is. And the second one here, and just this maybe a little bit complex than the previous one. I'm adding this variant wrapper. It's just a component for styling at the top, on the top here. If I show you, this is just we're using a style component to add some styling for this and to update the layout. And if I come back again here, then inside I'm checking also if there is a variance, and then try to map over this list of variants. And variants, usually you may have more than group. In this scenario, because we have only one groups, which is a color, and in this scenario, that's why I'm using just 0, because I'm sure I have only one. But for scenario, if you have more than groups, then you need to use map for this option. You don't need to use 0. But for now, let's just go with a single variant. And then this variant has options, and options, it's an array of a list of options, and as you remember the colors, then call this dot map or map over this list of options. Then each option, I'm trying to render this image here with the relevant option data. For example, to access a relevant option URL, as I mentioned earlier, we'll use this option here. We'll we'll use this option asset URL to filter image URL from original product assets. As if I remember here, if I come back to this, I showed you here at the top, this is the original list of assets we have, and then we'll use each option, this ID here, to filter out the relevant image ID using this URL here. And how we do that, I just created this function called get image URL. I'm going to add this. So at the top here, before return, let me add this function here. And what this function do, basically I'm passing this the asset or a relevant option ID, asset ID, and then inside here I will call this find and try to access the product assets, and then use find to filter out associated asset with this using option ID or asset ID. Then this will retain an object, and that object will be something similar to, if you see, will be similar to this data here. From all this data, I'm only just care about this URL. If I come back again here, as you see, I'm checking if there is an asset, then try to access asset URL, otherwise just return empty. This is what this function is do. Then basically I'm calling this function here at the bottom, and then passing the asset ID. This is how to access the asset ID. Basically will be this pro, or this should be option. Actually it's not pro. Let me just modify this one, and just let me change this also, option.price, option.assets, and option.id. And now it's complaining about this function. Before go to that function, what else I'm doing here, and also set the alt to be just the option.name, and which will be similar to this here. As you see, these assets, let me scroll down, this option, and this the name will be just orange or yellow or purple, which will be the option colors that we added earlier. And on this image also I'm adding on click handler. Basically when you click on each image, you'll be calling this handler, and this handler will call this function. And what this function will do, basically it will update the original order here at the top. If I just scroll at the top here to the top here, the product state, as you see, this is the initial product state. We update it here when we make a request to product by using a product ID. Then when you click on an image, I'm trying to update the data for this product. For example, I'm updating the image URL, and also I'm updating the price, as I just showed you earlier, that on the introduction, when I select on each image, it will update the original image display and also the price. And let me just bring this function which should do this calculation, and also I'm going to explain it, which is called update product, and it will expect 3 param here. First param will be the original price for this option, and the original price for the option you can get it also from here, this API. As you see here, this is the option, this first option, the original price I'm using price.row, and this scenario is going to be 0, and in this next scenario is going to be 2, and next scenario is going to be 5, as I just showed you on this product or commerce.js dashboard when we edit here. So if you remember, I just showed you how to add a price for single. For example, this is going to use a default price, it will be 0. For next one, because I'm going to be make it 12, is adding £2. That where is coming the original price from. If I come back again here, let me again go to next one, which is just passing down a relevant product URL. As I mentioned, you will update the product URL with the option URL, and the third one is going to be an option. This basically this option will be added to the product, and when adding this option, we'll come to next step, and then I'll explain what we'll do with this option. Basically, first let me just add this update product function, and here just on the top before this image or get image URL, let me add a space here and add this function. And as I mentioned, the function will expect 3 param. First one will be option price, second one source URL, and the third one will be an object as option. And this, it will, as I mentioned, also will just update the product. To update a product, you need to call this set product function, and then I'm spreading the original product data, which if I just scroll top here, I'm talking about this product, and this is set product to set the initial product data. And after spreading this, and then try to override this product price by the new price, I created another function to calculate the price, and this function, it will I can pass down this option price and then do some calculation. For example, if we need to increase the default price, or we need to reduce the default price for each option, then this function will do for us. Let me just bring it. So before this one, let me just add more space here and adding this function. And what is this will do? Basically, we'll expect this option price, and first it will check if the option price is equal to original price, which in this scenario, for example, this scenario here, if you remember, this one we tried for this variant here, we tried to use the default price, which will be a same price. In the same, when it is the same price, just it will return the product or the original price, or product price, which will be similar one. And next step, what we will do, basically I will try to access this product price, and the product price will be, as if you remember earlier, we updated here to use the one that with the simple, and this formatted with the code instead of the simple. And with the code, then we'll use this split here. If let me scroll down, we'll use a split with the space, which will create an array of two items. The first item will be the price number, and the second item will be the currency code. Then on total here, I'm trying to add the original price, or the original price that we have it at the top, and then add the optional price that we just pass it. Optional price, we can access it just here. This we pass it down to this function. After getting the total, just try to return back again this total, and adding back again the currency code, which will be just the second item on that array. So that's simply how this function is work. And if I just showing you also the price here, how it was look like on the console log to make more sense for you. And if I scroll to top here, and here, if you remember, is if you see this formatted with the code. So when using a split, basically we'll split this to an array. The first item will be this price number, and second item will be currency code. That's how we adding here. The second one will be just the currency after calculating the numbers. And this price calculator, basically just it will calculate that, and then updating or override the product price, and then just also set the image URL with, or override the source URL with the one that we just pass it down. And third one will be option, will add to the product option object, and this option basically will have a variant ID as a key, and the value of this variant ID will be an option ID. How we can get this? When we call this update product here, if you remember earlier, I'm adding this object, and I can access this option ID directly by calling this option.id, which has an ID. And if I come back again to the console log here, if I scroll to one of this option, for example, this option here has this ID here. And also if you see this variant, this is the first variant, the variant has also an ID. If you notice the variant ID, it starts with the V, and option ID is start with OB. If I go back here again, now we have these two IDs. And why I need these two IDs here, and why I'm adding this option here by just creating this option object, and the key will be a variant ID, and the value will be option ID. So because this will help us to add the product properly to chart when we select a specific variant, for example, and we need to make sure the chart returns the right product when we go to basket section. For example, if I come back to the commerce.js API here, when we adding to the chart here, this is the documentation. You have an example here in how you can add a product to chart directly by using a product ID and a quantity. And also at the bottom here, you have an example by adding these variants. If you need to add a variant, let me scroll to the bottom. And that is here. As you see here, when we add with the variants, then we're adding this third prom here, which will be an object. The key will be a variant ID, and the value of this key will be option ID. That's why I'm trying to pass this object down. And when we press on, let me just go to the browser, let me reload this again. See, still we have an error here. It's checking here, say product or update product is not defined. Let me check that. Oh, I need to save it. If I reload again, and that now is coming back. And as you see here, when we click on this and then after select a relevant one, then after hit this add to basket, in this scenario we need to pass down the option. And when we press this button will call endpoint, which will update. The endpoint will be similar to this endpoint. If I come to this documentation, will be similar to this one, where we can spread down here this additional object. Let me come back again, and where that's actually happening, see here, this on the button that we call add to basket. This is a button called add to basket, and this will call this add product. And here I'm going to add a third prom. So previously was just adding a product ID and quantity, and now we are going to add also a variant data. And this scenario is going to be just called product dot option. And let's go to this function here. Where is this function coming from? If I try go here, so this passed down to this as a props, and this component is rendered. Let's see, let's check where is this component is rendered. Imagine you don't know where is this rendered, you can use this quick search. It's rendered here on app.js at the bottom here. If let's come to here, as you see, we're passing down this add product here. Let's find out what is this add product. In this line 41, as you see, this function, it will make a similar request on the commerce.js documentation. It will try to update a chart by adding a new product. Previously we were just adding a product ID and a quantity, and this scenario we are going to update it to add also a variant. And this the second or the third prom will be an object as is shown on the documentation, and this will come as options. And then just this I will spread these options inside here, and I will set also this option by default to be empty object. For example, I'm calling these functions in some other place, maybe I don't pass this third prom. In this scenario just will be spreading this empty object, which will do nothing. Or for example, for some product doesn't have variants, in this scenario also the option will be undefined, and when you need to spread undefined will fire an error. To avoid that error, you need just to assign it to empty object when there is no option passed to this function. And that now is being added. And if I come back again to our component here, and what we need to do next, let's go and see. Let's see how it worked until now. If I come here and reload the page again, just make sure everything is work fine. If I select different variant, as you see, the image is changing and price is changing. Also the colors for all different one, and also with the relevant price. Let's add two product or two quantity of this product. If I increase it by 2, also it's work. If I add to basket, let's come to the basket, and we need to make sure showing the same color of this product and the same price. See here, this showing different image, and the price is right. The single one is 10, the two 20, but the image is different. If I just scroll back again, and let me again come back to the basket, let me remove this one. Let me just to check also to make sure the price should be right. Can't remember. If I come back again to this, and if you see this product here, £9, 2 of them should be £18. If I add it to the basket, come back to the basket, and this is not showing the right price. This is first step, and second step is not showing the right image. Let's first fix the image to show the right image, and then let's come back to the price. What we need to do, so basically if I come back to the where we're showing this on basket, let's go to basket component here and open this index, and this basket is calling this customer or custom card and passing down this item. If I go to this custom card component, which take us here, which is this custom card component, And in this custom card component, we have this media card. On media card, we'll try to access the image by accessing product media.source. Because we have, if you remember earlier, that we changed this on this product view to use image.url instead of media.source, because this will be more relevant. Instead of media.source, we are going to change it to .image.url and save it. Let's go and just reload the page. Let me just first remove it and go again, try again to add it from beginning. If I just come back here, let's in this time select the purple one and add quantity 2, add to the basket, go basket, and still that is not updated. Let me check out why it's not updated. So the issue basically, if you remember here, we don't add the option properly. Basically, when we call this add product, we add this product.options. It is option instead of option. Because we added here at the top is called option. On this line, yeah, it's called just option, not options. And also we need to go to this app.js to modify that to be which you still will be if you call it option here, or option, doesn't matter, but just to be more consistent, let's call it option. And if I come back again, let me clear this or empty this basket, and let me add again. If I go to the shopping and select this to open this here, select purple, quantity 2, and add to basket. And if I come to the basket, should I see this purple t-shirt with the price for single, it will be 12, for total it will be 24. If I open here, that's good. Now the price is 24 and the single one will be £12. I can check out and finish all other process. So let me just recap this quickly. And so what we did here, let me come back here, open this here. This will help us always to show what we did. We removed this file, this style, just to improve the single product view component styling, so we can show other things. So where we added this style component, you need to import this style component by doing npm as here, npm I, which stands for install -d, to install as div dependency, and your component name in this scenario would be style component. And we added some simple CSS here, and then inside here we added this initial state for original price for the product. And then also we updated when we set the product, when we make a request to a product API, we updated to have to add these assets, and also passing down the variants and updating the image instead of using media.source to use image.url, which will be more relevant when using a variant. And we updated the price instead of using formatted with the simple to use formatted with the code. So this will help us later to modify the price for other variants option. And we added this three function here to first one here to get the relevant image URL for each option, because the option will have only asset ID, and the product itself will has array of assets, and each asset will have the image URL and also an ID, and we can filter out relevant ID by using this approach. And on this function we call this update product. So basically when you select any one of this option or any one of this variant option, will update a product data by updating the price and updating the image URL and passing down this option, because when we make a request to add a product to chart, we passing down this variant ID and also option ID to add a proper or a relevant product, that when we go to checkout we can access the proper or relevant product that's selected by a customer. And so that it. And at the bottom here, just where we're rendering this list of options by checking first the product if has a variant, and then access option inside this variant, and map over this list of options and try render image for all of them, and by passing down relevant data to each image. And also here, if there is a this variant, we can display this title. And at the bottom here, as I mentioned earlier, I just tried to remove the layout or the grid system for Material UI and using normal CSS. I hope that was simple and clear and got the answer for your question how to use a variant on commerce.js application. And if you didn't subscribe until now, try to subscribe to the channel and press some up if you like the video, so this will support me to continue adding more tutorials. And thank you for watching, and see you on very next tutorial.